Now, the 20th of November every year spotlights the need to promote and protect rights and well-being of children across the globe. Established by the United Nations, this day serves as a reminder that every child, regardless of background, location, or circumstance, deserves safety, education, healthcare, and the freedom to dream. This commemoration is even more profound today as millions of children continue to face severe threats to their survival and development. In Gaza, ongoing hostilities have left children exposed to displacement, hunger, trauma, and the destruction of vital services like schools and hospitals. Also in Ukraine, the prolonged war has uprooted families, disrupted learning, and subjected children to psychological distress from constant shelling and instability. Sudan is no different, as the civil conflict forced countless children into displacement camps, cut them off from basic amenities, and increased their risk of malnutrition and disease. But for more on the World Children's Day, Joseph Senese, the officer in charge, UNICEF's field office in Maiduguri, Borno State, joins me to discuss the importance of this day. Is it safe to start with Happy Children's Day? Thank you for joining us at this time.
Thank you.
So as we mark, right, I can hear you. As we mark the World Children's Day, how would you really assess the situation of children's rights in Nigeria? I also cited Sudan, some countries, including Gaza, especially in conflict-affected states across the world.
Well, as you've mentioned, the challenges children face, there is also the good side of it, which UNICEF is here to promote and to stand with governments to ensure it's done. In Northeast Nigeria, for example, we are reaching children. Over 8 million children and women have been reached with various services to safeguard them in protection, in health, in education, the right to live, and even in the area of their well-being. Whatever they do, we are here to support them and the right to life.
And this is coming, at a time of abduction of students. Schools are often targeted during conflicts like this. And Nigeria has, seen a lot of, closures due to some insecurity that we've seen in the past few days. How is UNICEF helping to restore learning for children in conflict areas, really?
It's unfortunate, as you mentioned, that children are, suffering the brunt of war. We need to safeguard children and ensure the Safe School Declaration is, met to the letter. UNICEF, we are working with the government to ensure children are safe, and as well as we thank our donors who provide the resources and partners we work with, together with community leaders and families out there, helping us to get children safe. So they'll be safe in school, they will have access to healthcare, they will have access to education, and they'll have access to protection.
The insurgency around these areas outside the country and surrounding areas continue to impact children. What would you say are the most pressing challenges that you think, children in these conflict-affected regions really face, aside the security concerns in terms of education, protection, healthcare?
Yes, apart from security, when there's insecurity, what else can survive? They will not be in school. Health services are disrupted. They will not have the food they need. There will be huge malnutrition, as you see around the world, where there's conflict. So what I'm saying here is, if there is insecurity, all other things follow. Not the good things, but the bad things. But that's why UNICEF continue to advocate, continue to move with governments to ensure the rights of children are met and that children are safe. And that's the mandate of UNICEF.
Right. And UNICEF reports show rising violations against children, especially during this conflict, like you've mentioned. In the Nigerian context, how serious would you say the issue of abduction, recruitment by armed groups, and trauma among displaced children really is at the moment?
It's unfortunate. If you go to the camps and you hear families, children are not, protected. Children are open to violence where there is conflict. So once the children are in between, they tend to suffer and they are the vulnerable. We need to work, as we are continuing to work with the government, with donors and partners, even though we have, funding cut. We hope those funding come back and children will be safe, and we'll have children who are suffering to go through life well, and the suffering will cease. And those, whether adopted or so, will come back to safety. That's what UNICEF is pleading for. That's what UNICEF stands for. That's what UNICEF is promoting.
And in some areas, it will seem as though you are, battling ideology, which is perhaps, fueling the insurgency. How is UNICEF able to, balance some of the concerns raised by ideology, recruitment of children into these armed groups?
UNICEF is working with, as I mentioned, the state and partners, and with community leaders to ensure the awareness. So say, education is good for children, and, the life of a child is precious. Every child is important, no matter where they live, where they come from, their color or their speech, whatever they are, whatever disability, children are children. So we need to protect them and safeguard them. These children out there continue to suffer problems, which UNICEF continues to stand with the government to ensure, either we eliminate or reduce and make sure children are safe.
And part of the conversation about the World Children's Day really will be about educating children about, their rights and privileges in times like this. The World Children's Day is not only about, reflection, but also ensuring action. What practical steps, should families, schools, community take to promote children's rights and also amplify their voices amidst all of this?
Well, you're right. The theme for this year is My Day, My Rights. It's not just the day to remember the rights of children. Every day, children must have their rights. And so the right to education, the right to health, the right to protection, the right to play, the right to life. So we are working with all stakeholders, including parents, and as well the government, partners, and donors to ensure these rights are met for children, and that children are safe in Nigeria and even beyond.
Talk to us about child abuse and how much of cases, UNICEF really has to handle each year, especially in conflict-affected zones.
When you talk about abuse, the number varies. I cannot give you numbers now, but of course, even one abuse is an abuse. So abuse to children, no matter the number and the magnitude, any abuse must be condemned, and children must be safe. And that's what we should do practically in every community and in every nation. That's what UNICEF is doing in Northeast Nigeria to ensure communities protect their children and ensure these children have the environment to be our future leaders and to grow well.
A lot of work you're doing there in Maiduguri, not just in that state, generally UNICEF. But thank you for your good work in ensuring that the rights of children are protected. That's a fine place to leave it for now. Thank you for joining us at this time. John Sinesi, Officer in Charge, UNICEF's Feed Office in Maiduguri. Thank you for joining us on World Now.
Thank you.